Round 1. We're looking into NY's second round matchup against Wheelersburg. Waterford and Trimble face off on Saturday. We're breaking down who has the better shot. Plus, the Philo Electrics look for more postseason success. It's all coming up next on Gridiron Glory. Welcome back to the set of Gridiron Glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. It's time for round 2 of the playoffs, and we'll kick off our show with the Philo Electrics. With Coach Dirk Lincecum at the head of the Electrics, they look to keep their momentum from last week. And after pulling off that huge upset over number 1 seed Heath, the ace-seeded Philo Electrics fought to live another day in the postseason. This week, they faced the Shelby Whippets. Our MVL reporter Megan Stamfer is there now. And Megan, how did these two teams match up?
Well, Danny, tonight was going to be an interesting matchup because Shelby's offense has been averaging 458 yards per game this season, and Philo's defense has been stingy, just allowing 6.5 points per game this season. So something had to give, and tonight it was Philo's defense. And the Philo players were pumped up and ready for this semifinal regional matchup against the Shelby Whippets. But it was going to be Shelby who struck first. On the first play of the game, quarterback Brennan Armstrong finds receiver Devin Brooks for a 22-yard gain in the first down to move the chains. So they're marching down the field later on that drive. They're deep in Philo territory. And that's Uriah Geisler with a first down catch here to set up this touchdown run from 5 yards out for Devin Brooks. We heard his name all night long. He takes it in from the left pylon there, puts Shelby up 6-0 after the point after was no good. So Philo's first drive stalls. Shelby with the ball, and Philo gets the interception. Jacob Muller, and he returns it down that left sideline deep into Shelby territory to give Philo really good field position. But on that same drive after the interception, they couldn't take advantage of it, and on fourth down they go for it, but that pass is incomplete. So Shelby gets the ball back. And again, they're trying to hand Philo this game. Running back fumbles the ball, and Philo recovers, and they have the ball for a decent field position. But again, they couldn't take advantage of it, so Shelby again with the ball. And Devin Brooks takes it to the left sideline. This was on 4th and 1. He takes it down the left sideline for a 76-yard touchdown. After the 2-point conversion, Shelby went up 14-0. They led 21-0 at the half, and they went on to win 42-14. But Danny, the Philo was down 21 at the half, and they got the ball to start the second half, but went 3 and out. Dylan Tweedy eventually scored the first touchdown of the game for the Electrics in the third quarter, but too little, too late. And I messed up the final earlier. My bad. 40-12 was the final, and Philo's season just came to that bitter end.
Yeah, disappointing end for the Electrics. How was Shelby able to come out and just jump all over Philo?
Danny, the Electrics knew coming in that Shelby quarterback Brennan Armstrong was going to be a lot to handle. He had over 4,000 combined yards himself this season and has the luxury of a huge offensive line that can move around opposing defenses. They did a decent job containing running back Devin Brooks in the first half, other than that 76-yard touchdown run, but they had trouble defending the pass.
You mentioned they struggled to defend the pass, but did they have an interception? Were they able to take advantage of those turnovers?
Danny, they couldn't take advantage. Shelby was basically trying to hand the Electrics the game in the first half, giving up multiple fumbles, and that interception by Jacob Muller. The Whippet defense just had Philo's number all night long, and the offense couldn't move the ball against them. A big factor was Shelby's size. On both sides of the ball, Shelby's line had a decent size advantage, and it made it hard to control them. The Electrics scored their second and last touchdown of the game as time expired. So they did end their season on a little bit of a positive note, but definitely nothing to hang their heads on for the Electrics. I said earlier in our preview show this season that Philo was going to be a force to reckon with in the MVL, and they definitely proved why I made that prediction.
Yeah, Philo definitely proved that they could hold their own in the MVL. Thanks a lot, Megan. Stay warm out there. Unfortunately, Philo's season came to an end tonight, but they're the perfect example of how a bond off the field can bring success on the gridiron. Nick Mullins went out to Philo to see the Electrics brotherhood in action.
Philo had a season for the books. The Electrics got their second playoff victory in school season and came out fighting for the third tonight. All the success can be traced back to head coach Dirk Lincecum. He taught his players that your team should also be your family.
We are the 8th seed. We're not even supposed to be here. We shouldn't even got in the playoffs, according to some people. We definitely shouldn't have beat a 1 seed. But here we are with another opportunity. Make the most of it, guys. Don't let it pass you by. Give it all you got. No regrets when we walk off of that field Friday night after the game.
2016 is the year that Philo football will never forget, but it's the bond between the players and coaches that will live on when the season's over.
We're tight. We do everything together on and off the field, and it's just like a real family and real brothers. We fight like brothers sometimes, but we love each other like brothers too.
Coach Lincecum calls the plays on the sideline, but his role doesn't stop after the whistle.
He keeps us on track. He doesn't let us get too high on ourselves and doesn't let us get too low. And he's always someone that has our back, though, when it comes down to it.
Try to keep him grounded and remind him what got him here was the hard work and the dedication.
Coach Lincecum's devotion to his team is why the Electrics came so far this season. He built a football family that finds motivation within each other.
There's not one person out there that's not playing for each other or doesn't have each other's back. So that makes playing that much more fun and that much easier.
After all the wins, losses, and lessons, Coach Lincecum wants his players, especially the 18 seniors, to leave the program with something more meaningful.
I want them to be guys that we can bring back here in a few years and honor as a team on our field, to say these are guys that did something special when they were here, but look what they've done after they left here. Look what they've gone on to become and what they've gone on to accomplish.
Even though it was a tough loss tonight, the seniors had a great season and will be remembered for a long time. Coach Lincecum has definitely prepared these seniors for a life after football and will have the Philo team ready for another playoff run next season.
Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Nick. And when our show wraps up and you find yourself wanting more playoff action, just go straight online to woub.org/gridiron. Our website has recaps of all the games we cover, and you can also find out who made it to the next round of the playoffs. We have all the scores from around the area, and all throughout the week, our reporters are giving you game previews and predictions. So head over to woub.org/gridiron for all your football needs. The Nelsonville York Buckeyes looked unstoppable in their first playoff win since 1998. Now they face their toughest test of the season against top-seeded Wheelersburg. Our very own Clark Woolley joins me now to break down this postseason matchup.
Yeah, Danny, Wheelersburg has made an appearance in the last 3 regional finals, but head coach Rusty Richards and the Buckeyes will look to end that run Saturday night. If Nelsonville York wants to continue its longest winning streak since 1997 and put a huge blemish on a perfect Wheelersburg record, they'll have to carry their offensive explosion from last week into tomorrow night. NY's 69 points last week was the most they've recorded all season. And not only did it come at the perfect time, but it came without star tailback Alex Mount. With Mount sidelined with the lower leg injury, it was up to Hunter Edwards and his weapons to fill the void. Of the 10 touchdowns that NY scored last weekend against Zane Trace, Edwards was responsible for 8 of them, and also tallied 480 yards by the game's end. Freshman Keegan Wilburn was also huge last week in carrying the workload as he racked up over 200 total yards and scored 3 touchdowns. NY will look to its role players to overcome this tough Wheelersburg squad. Chris Cook, Garrett Maiden, and Noah Andrews have combined to score 20 touchdowns between them on the season and have caused headaches for opposing defenses all season long. For Wheelersburg, aside from a relentless offense that puts over 32 points a game, the true backbone of this Pirates team is their defense. Wheelersburg only allowed just over 7 points a game in the regular season, and the most points they gave up in a single game was just 19. On paper, this looks like a game that could be a classic battle of 2 teams that are perfectly well-rounded on both sides of the ball. Wheelersburg finished the season as the #1 ranked team in Division 5, and the Buckeyes have won their last 8 games by a combined score of 380 to just 58. Danny, if you can't get fired up for this one, you're going to have to check your pulse.
Yeah, Clark, there's a lot riding on this one. Thanks for the great work. And family is a huge aspect of football. That's especially true for Vinton County. With an offensive coordinator, a quarterback, and running back all from the same family, offense is sure to be fun for the Vikings. Tyler Corbett joins me now to tell us more.
Danny, in Vinton County, family is everything. The Yates family is no different. With all three on the offensive side of the ball, offense, it's like a family reunion. But they know they still have work to do if the Vikings are going to win their first TVC Ohio title in over a decade.
One of the most explosive offenses that you probably didn't hear about this past season belonged to the Vinton County Vikings. Spearheading much of this offense was the Yates family, led by dad and offensive coordinator Nolan Yates, junior quarterback Naylan Yates, and sophomore running back Nevin Yates. Everyone who plays a sport will say that football is a game of family, but that feels just a little more true in MacArthur.
What's neat about our situation here is that we've done this for a number of years. All the kids are close. Most of the kids have been out to our house and are good friends with our son. So I would guess that all of them feel somewhat like family because number one, I'm from here. I've grown up with these kids. They've grown up around our kids. So I hope that we all feel a little bit like one big family.
To Naylan, he feels like he has more than two family members on the sidelines.
No, when I'm playing, I mean, it's just, I know I can look at all the coaches as a father figure. They're all right there for me. Everyone on the side has my back.
When it came to the family aspect of football, Nevin Yates felt the same way the rest of his family did.
Just like my brother said, football is just a game of family. I mean, everybody on the field is family, so.
When it comes to taking the field with your brother and someone you've known your whole life, there's only one way to describe the feeling.
It's awesome seeing him make good plays and everything.
Although the brothers are close, it doesn't mean that they aren't competitive with one another.
I'm faster, no doubt. No, if you line us up, I'm faster.
Yeah, he might be a little bit faster, but I think I could beat him arm wrestling or just overall weight room strength.
It has been over a decade since Vinton County last won the TVC Ohio. But with their offense returning 9 starters and a determined Naylan Yates, the sky is the limit for what the Vikings can do next season.
The Yates are a strong family and felt very representative of the entire community. With everyone cheering for each other's accomplishments and helping them with their mistakes, Vinton County looks set to be a solid program for years to come.
Thanks for the great story, Tyler. Last week, we revealed our Gridiron Glory Player of the Year candidates, but now it's time to give the guys calling the plays some credit. Senior reporter Sean Neidig is back from Cincinnati. And Sean, we know that all the coaches also play a huge role on Friday nights.
Yeah, they certainly do, Danny. And it's not just Friday nights. You know, we wanted to put the spotlight on the guys who not only make the right play calls, but they're also positive role models for their teams every single day of the week. Our first nominee for Coach of the Year has been on our list all year long, and that's Rusty Richards from NY. The Buckeyes won their first playoff game in 18 years in Richards' first year on the job, and I'm not sure what else can be said. What an impressive job by him all season to take a team from 1-9 and last in their conference to 10-1 and still playing in November. Another name that I've said before is Paul Culver III. Although he's been around the Sheridan program for years, PC3 led the Generals to a win over Tri-Valley and handed the Scotties their first conference loss in 47 games. It's hard to argue with a result like that. Sheridan clinched a share of the MVL title thanks to that win and earned themselves a trip to the postseason. Eric McCutcheon from Waterford is another guy that's gotten some love before, and with the Wildcats still in the playoffs, McCutcheon gets the nod as a finalist. The Wildcats hadn't won the TVC hockey in forever, and with the help of senior quarterback Isaac Huffman, McCutcheon took them above and beyond expectations this year. And talk about surpassing expectations, what Dirk Lincecum did with his Philo Electrics this year was incredible. You heard Tyler talk about it. Tri-Valley has had a stranglehold on the MVL for years, but it was the Electrics who clinched their share of the conference title first. And I haven't even mentioned that the Electrics knocked off the #1 seed in their region last week. Coach Lincecum has the players to execute his game plan, and the Electrics picked up their second playoff win ever. And if I'm giving points for historic wins, the Unioto Sherman Tanks made the playoffs for the first time in school history this year with Jeff Metzler. Metzler had the benefit of having a great quarterback in Clay Edler, but it's hard for one player to give a team a 3-win improvement, so I have to give Metzler a lot of credit for a job well done. No, it's going to be really hard to choose a winner this year, but that's what we're here for, Danny. I know you're going to be here next week, but be sure to tune in to find out who out of our 5 finalists gets the hardware.
Yeah, next week is the time that we reveal who the Coach of the Year is, so thanks a lot, Sean. We give the players and coaches love, but we can't forget about the mascots. We got this Snapchat from a Belpre fan who wanted to show us some behind-the-scenes mascot prep. For the Golden Eagles parade. Whatever leftover candy you might have, don't be afraid to send it our way. Send it to us at Gridiron. Thanks for the snap, and make sure to tune in to add Gridiron Glory on Snapchat. Last week, we had 2 playoff matchups between teams in our coverage. This week, we have 1, courtesy of Trimble and Waterford. Blake Baker and Clark Wicks are here to break down that one for us. So Waterford won the regular season matchup 28-14. So Clark, what worked for the Wildcats earlier when they met?
Well, Danny, this is a team that understands you actually have to have the ball to win the game. This season, the Wildcats offense has only turned the ball over 5 times. Quarterback Isaac Huffman has thrown 4 picks, and the special teams unit, oddly enough, dropped a snap in their game against Trimble. On the other side of the ball, this Wildcats defense has forced 25 turnovers so far this season. Their game plan is simple: get the ball, let the offense score, and then get the ball right back. This plan becomes even more effective when Braden Belleville and Tyler McCutcheon are able to move the ball as efficiently as they have all season. Led by 4-year starter Huffman under center, these players have scored a combined 46 touchdowns to lead a Wildcats offense that has outscored opponents by 360 points this season.
Okay, so that's a good argument, Clark, but Blake, what does Trimble need to do differently this time around?
Well, Clark kind of stole my thunder starting off with the turnover talk, but Trimble has to take care of the ball above all else. In the third quarter of their previous matchup, Waterford forced 2 Tomcat turnovers and scored 2 touchdowns in 33 seconds, and that gave way to a lead that Waterford would just run away with. Trimble had 4 costly turnovers total and gifted the Wildcats too many extra offensive opportunities. If they can keep the ball in their own hands and really allow their offense to settle in, the Tomcats can pull this one out. That wishbone offense requires defenses to be really disciplined, give Trimble nice long possessions, and they're bound to exploit that Wildcat front for some nice gains. Trimble's defense is good enough to keep them in it, but it'll be up to the offense to uphold its end of the deal and deliver when it matters.
Well, obviously, each of these teams needed a win last week to get to this point. So, Blake, we'll start off with you. What did you see in Week 11 that makes you think that Trimble can get the win in Week 12?
Well, I hinted a little bit at that Tomcat defense, who's especially tough this time of year. Since that loss to Waterford, it's allowed fewer than 7 points a game, giving up just 6 to Southern a week ago. Now, the Tornadoes did manage nice drives, but Trimble did a good job of keeping them out of the end zone. Southern turned it over on downs twice inside Trimble's 30. And when the Tomcats had their backs against the goal line, they forced a crucial fumble. But the biggest advantage for Trimble, Coach Phil Ferris. While Waterford's Eric McCutcheon has put together an incredible season in his first year, Ferris is a proven coach in the postseason. He's a guy who's been to a state title game and knows how to get it done when it's a winner-go-home situation. So not only does Trimble boast a stifling D, it has a coach who knows how to win in the playoffs, both of which are invaluable for November football, Danny.
Well, the Wildcats did struggle last week against an 8-seed Zanesville Rosecrans team that held the Waterford offense to just 13 points. But at the same time, Rosecrans had possession for a whopping 36 points. So tell me about it.
Well, the Wildcats did struggle last week against an 8-seed Zanesville Rosecrans team, but they should have no trouble finding the end zone in the future. What this Wildcats offense has done so well this year is distribute the ball. They have 3 serious running threats in their backfield, and they all touch the ball as much as the other. Last week, Huffman had 12 carries, McCutcheon had 15, and Belleville had 10, and they combined for 147 yards. And as long as the Wildcats can continue spreading the wealth, the opposing defenses should struggle.
We'll see if they can struggle to keep up. But all right, guys, you've each laid out the facts for us. So what kind of predictions can you give us?
I think Cam Curry gets a couple scores to his name, and Trimble marches into Week 13 after a 28-21 win.
All right, how about you, Clark?
I think it's going to be a shootout, but Waterford's going to win by 7.
All right, well, we'll have to see to find out. We'll find out tomorrow, guys. Thanks a lot. I've been getting tweets nonstop ever since we announced the Player of the Year finalists, and they've all been getting a lot of shout-outs, just like this one right here. I'm sure Justin Harvey really appreciates his man Demetrius tweeting out that Harvey 100% deserves the title. Hit us up on Twitter with who you think deserves to win this year. Out in Bidwell, Coach Jared Sparling and the River Valley Raiders were 18-12 over the last 3 seasons, and they went to the playoffs for the first time in school history. But it's the transformation off the field that's getting everyone's attention. Clay Benjamin joins me now with a very special story about a relationship.
Danny, since Sparling's taken over as head coach at River Valley in 2011, he has made it a priority to reunite the football team with the community of Bidwell. And over the last 6 seasons, Raider Nation has become one of the most loyal fan bases in our coverage area, but it didn't happen overnight. When Coach Jared Sparling isn't spending his time on the field or in the coach's office, he's spending his time at home with his 3-year-old son Camden, his new 2-month-old son Kenton, and his wife Brittany. And while Sparling is building a life for himself away from the game of football, he's also brought life to the River Valley Raiders and the community of Bidwell. But when Sparling took over the program in 2011, he had his work cut out for him.
First 20 years of our existence, there wasn't a lot of wins. You know, I think they had 1 6-4 season and 2 5-5s. On field was not very good. You know, players expected to lose, and not only did they expect to lose, they expected to lose by 40 or 50. And then I think they went out in the community, they went out in the hallways, and they were reminded of what losers they were.
They had a very tough couple of years there. They weren't winning a lot of games. The crowds were low in numbers. You didn't hear a whole lot of good being talked about out in the community at the restaurants and the gas stations and whatnot. And you know, you turn around and you look at where we're at now, it's a night and day difference.
In order to make a change in the program, Sparling knew he had to reunite the community with the football team. But to do that, he would need the community's help.
You know, since 2011, we've spent over $50,000 worth of non-athletic department money. And that was money that came from the community. That was money that, you know, we got off our rear ends and went out and raised. You know, it was really a commitment by this staff and this school and this administration to, you know, go get the biggest and best.
The community as a whole, it's more than just about people coming to the football games on Friday nights, people donating money. It's the amount of time and effort and energy that our community has decided to put into our kids. And that's been the biggest joy for me to see.
With the financial and motivational support from the community, Sparling has been able to turn around the River Valley program on and off the field.
You know, one of the main questions that was asked, you know, around this place when we took the job in 2011 is, why would you play football? And now I think the question that's asked is, why wouldn't you play football? Look at everything that happens. You're going to compete for titles. You're going to compete for playoff spots. You have some of the best uniforms and resources in the area. You know, your experience as a player here is a really fun thing. Why wouldn't you play at River Valley?
And just having little kids come up to you and tell you that they want to be like you, it means everything to you. Not having kids say that you suck and having them say that you're good, it means a lot.
But in the end, to see how the entire community has embraced this program is the most rewarding for all of those involved.
The football games, the wins on Friday night are fun, but seeing that camaraderie in our community and seeing how they rally around our kids, that is what, to me, has been the most fun to watch.
And at the end of the day, you know, being content with myself saying, you know what, you know, you could talk title this and play off that, but at the end of the day, I truly believe that this is a better job because we've been here for the last 5 or 6 years, and that means a lot to me.
When talking to everyone at River Valley, they are proud of the strides they've made so far, but have stressed to me that they are not where they want to be yet, and that there is still plenty of work to do. Danny, it's going to be interesting to see just how far this program can go, and everyone at Gridiron Glory wishes them the best.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We all do. Thanks a lot, Clay. Gridiron social media never takes a break, just like you guys do with your practice and everything, so we got to keep up. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. You'll get instant info about the teams that we're following and instant score updates for Friday and Saturday's playoff games. If you add Gridiron on Snapchat, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at our Player of the Year interviews. And of course, like us on Facebook. That's where we post every segment from our show along with written recaps from our games we cover. Only 5 players were placed on the Gridiron Glory Player of the Year final list. Online host Eric 3 II is here to talk about the guys who just missed the final list. Eric, who we got?
There's so much talent in our coverage. It's unfair that we have to limit ourselves to 5 players because there are a bunch of players who are worth being on this finalist list and being up for this award. I tried to get as many people as possible on this full screen that I'm about to show. Tyler Corbett talked about Nayland Yates earlier. He had 29 touchdowns, and he was responsible for 82% of the Vikings' yardage. Hunter Edwards had almost 30 touchdowns this year. Cam Curry had almost 20 or over 20 touchdowns, and he scored 4 different ways. 2 running back tandems fell short. Jackson's Blake McCoy and Johnny Farley both had over 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns apiece. But listen to this. Wellston's Nick Cox and Travis J. John combined for over 3,100 yards, and they scored 40 times. We'll see Travis and Blake next year, though. Let's talk about Trey Craycraft right quick. Like all of our finalists, he's a senior, he's a leader. The first 1,000-yard receiver in River Valley's history, the only 1,000-yard receiver in our coverage. He had the most receptions in a season. He tied the record for most receiving yards for the Raiders, and they're going to miss his production next year. Patrick Brown and Jacob Campbell, however, are returning, so they have pieces to build off of. We've talked about Craycraft, though. Let's talk about Zach Waldrop. I feel like nobody knows who this man is. He was a dog this year. He posted just as many rushing yards as Alex Mount, and he had 5 more touchdowns. And Miller was 7-3 this year. Waldrop is coming back. Their 6 leading tacklers are coming back. Jake McCoon, the Falcons linebacker that had 16 sacks this year, he's coming back. So Waterford, Trimble, and Southern, you gotta watch out. The Falcons are coming for you. And I have one more man who is coming for you next year, junior Cole Riffle. He rushed for the most yards in the SCOAL. Yes, more than Blake and Johnny. Look it up. But as a Mike linebacker, he recorded 98 solo tackles and 135 total tackles, which is the 5th most in school history. It's funny because he passed his dad, who had 125 tackles one season back in the day. And he probably slid under the radar because Warren only won 2 games. However, it was more than they had last year. Coach Carver, all he wanted to do was take a step in the right direction, get the players' confidence back. And it's going to be weird not seeing the SCOAL next year.
I know, that's so true. There's so many great memories and great games that have come out of the SCOAL, but on our finale, we're going to be taking a look back at the history of the SCOAL.
Definitely. It should be a lot of fun, a lot of history. You should learn a lot. The SCOAL has been around for a long time.
I'm excited for that, and just to see where these teams go next year, where they take it into new conferences or just go independent. So
it's like a new chapter.
It is.
It's wild.
That's a great way to look at it. All right, thanks a lot for giving those guys shout outs. They were all so close to getting on the list, but we appreciate it.
No problem.
Tuesday, November 15th, is the last chance to vote for the 2016 Player of the Year. So make sure you're going to woub.org/gridiron to vote for your favorite guy. The results are up to you. So don't forget to exercise your right to vote for Player of the Year. And next week on our finale, don't forget, we will announce the winner live on our show. So make sure you're going to our site, scrolling down the page, and voting for your favorite guy. Will it be Isaac Huffman, Alex Mount, Dylan Dupler, Clay Edler, or Justin Harvey? You'll find out in just 7 days right here on WOUB. So make sure you tune in. And until then, I'm your host, Danny Dean, reminding you that there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.